Alright guys, today we're doing the game preview for the upcoming game versus the Commanders on Saturday. So, let's go ahead and get right into it. Starting off right away, we're going to talk about who will start this game, who won't play in this game, what to watch for, who to watch for. Let's get right into it. So first off, we already know Joe Burrow is not going to play in this game. So we're going to give him a little gray square here, which means pretty much he is not playing. So if you see a gray square, it means they're not playing. This is for my stock up, stock down series. But again, we're not doing that in this video. We're just doing who is playing, who's not playing. So the quarterbacks who are playing in this game is going to be Trevor Siemian and Jake Browning. Again, we're not going to see any type of play time from Reed Sinnett. Again, this is really because he's not an option on this roster to even make the squad, right? So it's going to be Trevor Siemian and Jake Browning. Now, last week we saw they started off with Trevor Siemian and ended with Jake Browning, which was the opposite of week one. This week, it's going to be the same concept. It's just going to be flipped. So we're going to start the game off again with Jake Browning and end with Trevor Siemian. I don't see a way that Trevor Siemian makes this roster. Okay? And I was the guy who thought that he definitely would going into this whole situation. But unless he just has an absolute great week this week, even then, I don't think he's going to make the roster because, as Coach said, it's about consistency. It's not about one good game. It's about doing it consistently throughout the three preseason games we have. And Trevor Siemian has been showing, even if he has a good game this game, he would have shown inconsistency throughout training camp and throughout the preseason. So, I think this is really going to spell the end for Trevor Siemian. And this will be in 8 days when we do make cuts down to the 53-man roster. This will be the last time we see Trevor Siemian in any type of Bengals game, period. Jake Browning, though, this is a game that's probably going to solidify him on the roster. This is definitely one of those situations where this is going to get him a roster spot, and we'll see how that ends up turning out. Now, for the running backs, I'm expecting to see at least one series of Joe Mixon, especially because last week we had a first-team defense out there. The week before that, we had no starters at all. We most likely will see at least one series of the starting offense. That means T, Chase, Tyler Boyd, Irv Smith, etc., right? We heard last week from the reporter, actually, that Mike Hilton, he approached the Coach Taylor about this, saying that he wanted to play out there. The first team guys wanted to play out there because they wanted to, get some up to game speed. So it's very possible we see Joe Mixon play. Again, it's going to be one series. And at the end of the day, that one series might go down. They might go down the field in this Commanders defense, or they might go with 3 and out. There's not really too much to take away from starters in, preseason at all. So even if they go out there and play great, you're like, oh, cool. Like last week, for example, they went right down the field on our first team, but then we got an interception because Mike Hilton batted the ball up in the air and picked it up, and Joseph Asai picked it off. So there's not really too much to take away from that. But I will say, overall wise, it will be nice to see our guys out there, our starting unit out there, and kind of see what we can expect from the regular season. But again, if that is the case, right, that means Jake Browning's going to start. Jake Browning is going to be running this offense, that first drive, with the starters. And if he looks really good with the starting unit, yeah, you're going to expect that that's going to, 100% give him that roster spot. Because if Joe did go down, he would be the starting quarterback with the starters. So we're going to get a good example of how Jake Browning looks after, that first drive. So, other than that, though, Travion Williams, who has not played in any preseason game, I'm hoping he can make it to this preseason game. He's been hurt with his ankle injury, and we'll have to wait and see what if they clear him or not, or any update on that ankle injury. But, again, like I said, I do hope to see him in this last game, just to see something from him. We saw him in training camp. He looked good. But then again, he got hurt right away. So it's like we really never got any true, look at this guy, right? And he is on the roster bubble. Let's be honest. Now, is it possible they keep 4 running backs? It is. But, after so far through the first couple preseason games, it looks like it has been an absolute, dominance, other than, I guess, last week the rushing wasn't that great, but it really was the offensive line. But when it comes to receiving roles, Chase Brown and Chris Evans have looked very good. Chase Brown especially has looked really good in the pass blocking game, right? Something that, the Bengals really want is a good guy who can pass block. Chris Evans has looked really good in the pass blocking game, especially in training camp. He picked up DJ Reader, which led to a touchdown to T. Higgins. So I think they carry 4 running backs, in all honesty. I think they will. So I think Trayvon's going to be fine no matter what, and he's going to make this roster. But that is definitely something, if he goes out there and he stinks up the show, you never know, right? Anything could happen. But again, like I said, it is one game, and they're not going to put too much into one game because, again, for Trayvon Williams, this will be pretty much his equivalent of a first preseason game, right? Because he hasn't played any preseason yet. These other 2 guys, they're just special teamers. They'll probably be like the first team cut. First players cut when it comes to cuts. For receiving core, so we talked about last night about Yoshi and how Yoshi is at 21 targets on the preseason in 2 games, which now leads the Bengals all time in targets in the preseason, which is actually freaking crazy. Now, if he does have, I think it's like 60 yards in this game, he's going to have the most receiving yards of any Cincinnati Bengals player ever in history in the preseason. So I'm really hoping he has a great game, but we've already solidified this at this point that Andre or Yoshi is going to be that guy. Like, he already made the roster and beyond. He's definitely, he's given himself a roster spot, but he also has given himself some play time this year. So I can't wait to see him on the actual field in the regular season. We're going to see him targeted a crap ton in this last game. Especially for Jake Browning and Trevor Siemian. They're going to try to solidify this roster spot for themselves. And if you've watched the last 2 preseason games, it has been target Yoshi. Give Yoshi the ball. He'll make a crazy play. He'll make a crazy catch. He'll go across the middle. He'll do this, this, and this. So I would not be surprised if we see 10 more targets for Yoshi in this game. Charlie Jones, he is still dealing with his injury, obviously, his shoulder injury. So he still has looked pretty good in preseason so far, but he's probably going to be pretty much the same as what we can expect from him in this last preseason game. He's going to be maybe 3 or 4 catches, 5 targets, and that's pretty much that. Which, to be honest, is not really that bad. We're not expecting too much from Chuck Sizzle. Maybe, again, preseason, we just expect him in the regular season to really step up and take over that Tyler Boyd role. For the rest of the receivers, this is going to be the last chance to do something with this team. And we're going to most likely have 6 receivers when we go ahead and make our cuts. We'll probably keep 6 receivers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is probably who we're keeping. If we do keep a 7th receiver, then it's going to come down to either Morgan Stanley, Kwame, Trent Taylor, Carter, Jackson, or Mack. And what we're going to see in this upcoming game is, and again, it's possible we do keep 7 receivers. Just saying that right now. It's very possible one of these guys is going to have to make a name for themselves. They already like Trent Taylor. They love Stanley Morgan. The Bengals love him. So unless, something crazy happens, it possibly keeps 7 guys and it ends up being one of those 2 guys. Or, so far we have seen Kwame actually play pretty dang good in preseason so far. We've also seen Jackson be a really good option for both quarterbacks. He actually is a guy that both quarterbacks do like and target a lot. Nonetheless, though, tight ends. Irv Smith, Drew Sample, Mitchell Wilcox. Obviously, we got some pup-less guys. Mitchell Wilcox, pup-less. He will not be playing in this game for obvious reasons, injuries. Drew Sample, and I actually just realized this. I messed up last week. He actually did play. So I'm going to give him a red there. He actually did play. He actually had like one catch, I think. Nothing too crazy special. Irv Smith should be playing in this game. Maybe just one drive, like I said, with the rest of the starters. Nothing too crazy special. Drew Sample, all these tight ends should be playing in this game. I'm not expecting too much. Listen, Irv Smith is the guy. Everyone else is just going to be a backup. And I will say, I know Devin, we talked about my chat, 2 reds already. I don't think he's making the roster. I don't think these 3 are making the roster. That's what I'll say. Devin and below. Orlando Brown might or might not play this game. I don't know. I think the only reason I say he might play a series, but I think what they might do is try to see Jackson Carman as the starting left tackle in this game with the first team and see if they have anything left in him at left tackle. They've been doing it in training camp, putting him at left tackle. They've been moving him at left tackle last week. He played left tackle the whole game. We're going to see that a lot. Now, for the offensive line, listen, I'm not expecting anything from this offensive line, in all honesty. Other than maybe our first teamers out there, we're not going to see any starters out there at all the rest of the game. And this offensive line so far throughout, preseason, week 1, they were absolutely awful. Week 2, they were okay. Really decent at pass blocking, awful at run blocking. It is what it is. I'm not expecting too much from the offensive line. For our defensive line, we're going to see our starting defense out there for one drive. But Myles Murphy missed last week's game with an illness. He will be back for this final game. We're going to see how good he does. The first game he played, he didn't really do anything. He had 1 tackle for a loss, and that was pretty much that. I'm not really sure what to expect other than the fact that we're probably going to see him in a different defensive formation. So last time we saw him, he was off the edge. We're probably going to see him inside. Just see a little bit more. It's also what really sucks about the fact he missed this game with illness was based on understand we were going to use him in a 3 technique, and then we were going to move him inside. And it just really sucks because that was a chance for us to see him when the games did not matter. Nonetheless, though, Raymond Johnson III, we're going to see if he continues his excellence in the preseason. Listen, Raymond Johnson III, my man's sack fumble first game, and he had a sack the second game. So, this is consistency. See, this is what Coach is talking about, guys. Consistency. Keep making plays. And also, he's not getting beat on any play. He's consistently getting the job done. For the defensive line, listen, at the end of the day, we have seen some really good performance from Jay in week 1. Week 2, not really that much at all. But other than that, for the defensive tackle position, we really didn't see much last week. And we're probably not going to see much this week. It is preseason, but at the end of the day, what we want to see is some pass rushers. And first off, Owen Carney is actually a player that Coach called out himself in his press conference. And the reason why is because he got that sack that held them out of field goal range. It did not let them kick a field goal. So I'm excited to see how can he finish off this final preseason game versus the Washington Commanders. And it's going to be really getting after the quarterback. Terrell Basham will not be playing again in this game, so he will also be another scratch. Joseph Asai, again, he won't be playing too much in this game, probably one series. But Jeff Gunner and Owen, this is going to be a true, listen, the better man wins here and gets the job. It's very possible that they keep both and they cut someone else, a little bit more. But it's also very possible they don't. And it's very possible this could be for the job here. You have a great game again. Both of them had a mid-game week 1. Great game week 2. Week 3, this is your chance to go out there and put up some numbers, my mans. Let's go. Linebacking core. Jalen Moody actually got after having a bad week 1, he didn't play week 2. It would not surprise me if he doesn't play week 3. I think they really like Keandre Jones, and so far he's gotten 2 greens on the preseason. So I wouldn't be surprised if he solidifies his roster spot here with his final game. This is going to be an interesting situation. Shaka Haywood, Joe Bacci, Marcus Bailey, Tyler Murphy, everyone behind Logan Wilson. I don't know what I feel like, who I feel is the guy leading this. But I obviously made a video about Shaka Haywood, and they really do like him. They really do. He was the Mike the last 2 games on defense in the second half. And he's really good at calling this defense, right? So I think, in all honesty, I feel like he makes the roster for that said reason. And I feel like obviously Logan Wilson's going to make the roster. I feel like they might keep one guy out of the next 3. So either Bailey, Batchy, or Murray. One of those. This game, again, like I said, is going to determine who that guy is who stays. We should see some starting. We're not going to see any starting from Cheeto. Cheeto should be out for this game as he's still recovering. But Cam Taylor, Britt, Mike Hilton, all these guys are going to be starting. We'll probably not see Sidney Jones. So I'm going to say he probably ends up becoming a scratch here. Will he make the roster? That is a good question. We'll have to wait and see. This game's not going to tell anything because he's not going to be out there. Alright, so here's the thing, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now 6. We probably do keep 6 cornerbacks. Someone here is going to go. And my guess is it's going to be we keep Poison Ivy because he's been looking good so far. And everyone else is gone. But keep in mind, no one's job is solidified. He was a 7th round pick, so it's possible he doesn't make this roster. But so far, out of these 4 options, he has looked like the 1,000% best option on this team. Out of all these options, Alan George has been getting destroyed left and right. Marvin Tell hasn't really done anything. Jalen Davis is getting destroyed. And DJ Ivy or Poison Ivy's been the only good option. My guess is it's already chosen. He's going to make this roster. And this is already done. But you know what? At the end of the day, we'll have to wait and see. This upcoming game is going to really tell the tale for that. Dax Hill, Jordan Battle, Tyson Anderson. I don't think Larry Brooks makes the roster unless he does something crazy on Saturday. Same thing with Corker. I'm not expecting too much. They're going to keep Michael Thomas. He's just too good on special teams. There's no reason to get rid of him. And then for kicker and punter, yes, this last game is going to determine Drew Chrisman or going to determine Brad Robbins. But in all honesty, I think Brad Robbins is going to get the job. So, guys, that's what to look for, what to think about, players, all that kind of good stuff, guys. I will be live on Saturday, 6:30, to go ahead and watch the final game with you. Peace out.